Word. Welcome everyone. If you are new with us and you just recently joined us, my name is Brittani Hayes. I'm your Ambassador Diamond Upline, and I'm so excited about our first team huddle of June. How perfect that it fell right on June 1st. You guys, I could not be more proud of everything that this team did in May. May was a record-breaking month. In nearly 4 years of our team's existence, May is the best month we've ever had. It's our highest enrollment month. It was our highest team sales month. Like, you name it, May was just a phenomenal, just historical month in this team's, existence. And so I'm just so proud of you guys. I know that the best is truly yet to come. I know that this summer holds, even more good things and even more blessings for every single person on here tonight. And I'm just so excited just to see what God continues to do in our team and through our team over the summer. One little fun fact I wanted to share with you guys, I went back and looked at where our team ended in March. I knew the jump, by heart that we had made from April to May, but I went back and looked at where we ended the end of March, and we completely doubled our team sales from March to May. Like, that is phenomenal, you guys. Like, a team this size, like that type of growth is absolutely phenomenal. And I just hope that really gives you that picture of what is possible. Like, I want you to imagine what your volume was at last month, and then imagine if it doubled this month. Like, how huge would that be for you? If you just went diamond and you ended with 15,000 in volume, and now this month you're going to end at 30,000 with double. Like, how huge is that? That is what is happening right now. That's the type of momentum we're experiencing right now. And so I just wanted to get on here tonight and just really talk about, why the best days are truly ahead of us, and how I know that, and just, what things I want to share with you guys that I'm seeing, and that I feel like we're going to just continue to see, as we progress further along in the summer. So typically, historically, summertime, for a lot of businesses can be, not as great as maybe the springtime was. We are seeing the opposite of that right now. We are seeing more growth right now as we go into summer than we saw in the spring at all. And that's saying a lot, because the spring was absolutely so crazy, so full of so many blessings for this team, but it didn't even hold a candle to where we are right now. And the month we just had, and the momentum we already have going into June. And so what I want you to know is that, number one, if you're new, you're probably like, I don't even know what's going on, but I'm excited. I'm glad I joined this team. So you joined at the right time. You were literally in the right place at the right time. And I'm just so excited for you to be able to run with us. If you're brand new and you just got started, you're eligible for the bonuses. And that's just so exciting how much is on the table for you right now. That's more than was on the table. Just fun fact, when I got started 4 years ago. So I'm so excited for what Mark is doing right now for new people that get started. That just really speaks to, the heart of the company, and what he intentionally, tries to do during times when he knows it counts the most. But beyond that, if you've been in the business for a while, I want you to know the momentum that you saw in May, if you will carry that through, marry your months together. Don't just work hard at the end of the month, but you want to keep, that full speed momentum going right in through June, through the beginning of June. You will absolutely have the best month of your business. What we are seeing right now, you guys, is things happen faster than we've ever seen them happen before. We are seeing people promote faster than we've ever seen people promote before. We are seeing, again, volumes doubling, tripling, crazy jumps happening that we've never seen happen in 4 years. And the reason I'm telling you that is because I want you to know, there is literally something to be said about the rare air that we are breathing right now. These are days that we are not going to get back. These are days that are absolutely just full of so much opportunity. And so if you will maximize what's in front of you right now, I promise you set yourself up to walk into 2021 in a completely different state. And I don't just mean I'm making an extra $1,000 a month. No, I mean, now you're making an extra $20,000 a month, crazy numbers. That is what's possible with the growth we're experiencing right now. So without further ado, jumping right in, I wanted to share something with you guys. I've been listening to a book by John Maxwell that is so good, and he said something towards the end of the book that really stood out to me and made me think about just what it's going to take. If you're maybe you're newer, maybe you've been in for a while, and you're like, all right, I'm feeling a shift. I want to go all in over summer. Tell me what I got to do. What is it going to take? And something he said to me that really stood out to me is, he said, ownership is the highest level of commitment. He said a leader who is truly committed will always take extreme ownership. And I want all of you guys to hear that right now, because whether you're a brand new distributor who sees that $15,000 diamond bonus on the line and you're like, man, how do I get that? Or whether you're, a triple diamond pushing for presidential pushing for ambassador, a ruby pushing for diamond, it doesn't matter. Whatever level of the business you're in, like this phrase sums up what you need to know going into summer. Ownership is the highest level of commitment. And so if you're committed and you're ready to do the thing, you've got to take extreme ownership. And so what does that mean? That means, number one, no one should have to wonder if you're going to deliver. No one. It shouldn't matter what anyone else around you is or isn't doing. It shouldn't matter, if you just signed 5 distributors, it shouldn't matter what they're doing. No one should have to wonder if you're going to show up. No one should have to wonder if you're going to deliver it. They should know it doesn't matter what her life circumstances are. It doesn't matter who's doing what. She's always going to be there. She's consistent. She's always going to deliver. She's always going to do what she says she's going to do. Your upline should be able to say that about you. If I ask them, like, hey, tell me about her, how's she doing? How close is she to, whatever promotion? They should be like, oh my gosh, she always shows up. She's on every team Zoom. She's always doing what she says she's going to do. If she tells you she's going to get 10 host-to-posts up that day, she does. If she tells you that she's, going to do, read this book, she does it. You name it. She sets her intention and she does it. No one should ever have to wonder if you're going to do what you say you're going to do. So number one, his ownership is the highest level of commitment, but we're breaking that down. What does that look like tangibly? It means you're always going to show up. No one's ever going to have to wonder. And then number two, it means that that you get better by practicing. And so especially those of you who are newer, or maybe you've been in for a while and maybe you've been kind of stuck at a rank and you just started making some headway and you're like, all right, I'm excited. But how do I get from this point to this point? You get better by practicing. You don't get better by just thinking about it, just being like, let me just sit and read about this or study this person for the next, 7 weeks. No, you get better by practicing. And so, yes, you do want to learn, you want to grow, you want to make sure you're getting on team Zooms, you want to make sure you're listening to the audiobook. If those of you who are newer, listening to a training a day can be so huge for you. But listen to it while you're working, listen to it while you're driving. And then when you get home, sit down, make a post, sit down, do your follow-up, sit down, reach out to people, whatever it is you're going to do, but you get better by practicing. And so, I know so many leaders on here will attest to this. In fact, go ahead and just drop a 1 in the chat if you've been in the business for any amount of time and you know that you have gotten better by practicing. I'll just go and drop my 1, because if you guys saw my conversations when I first got started and you looked at them, compared them, from that point to now, you guys would be blown away. I know it's really easy to see someone that you look up to and to be like, well, if I just could talk like them, or if I had the words that they have, I could do so much better. But I want you to know, everyone that you say that about, that you're looking up to, they didn't start out that way. They didn't start off just knowing everything to do. They didn't start off taking beautiful pictures and making amazing posts. They got better by practicing. And so if you're like, man, I really like her pictures. Man, I really like how she writes her captions. Man, she always seems to find the most creative things. Man, she's always enrolling. You get better by practicing. All those things can be true of you too. You just have to practice. And, everyone starts this business, with, maybe being a little bit better in one area or another. Some people start the business with a little bit more natural creativity, but maybe they have to learn more leadership skills. Some people may start just being a little bit more of a natural born leader, but they got to learn how to take good pictures. Everyone has something that they maybe feel like they were doing okay at when they got started, but then they had a whole slew of things that they didn't feel like they were very good at. And so, number one, recognize what you are good at. Recognize what does kind of come naturally to you. And you might have to think about it, especially if you've been kind of in your head. You might be listening to me right now and be like, I don't know what it is. But think a little harder. There's something that comes pretty easily to you. You just got to think about it. And then, really utilize your, whatever that thing is, make sure that you really use that to your advantage. If you are a really personable person, make sure that you're voice messaging people, you're getting people on the phone, because if you're a people person, that you're going to thrive in that area. You maybe don't know all the things yet. Maybe you're still learning how to take the pictures, but you can have a great conversation with someone. So okay, once I start talking to someone, I need to always be voice messaging, or I need to get their number and get on the phone, because that's where, I excel a little bit more naturally. And that's just one example. Some of you're like, oh, that's totally not me. I hate talking to people. So that's an area you need to grow in, but find the area that does come a little bit more, easily for you. I think so often when we, just can get in our head and we're hard on ourselves and we feel like we're lacking in so many things, that's when we stay stuck. But when we realize, you know what, like I am kind of good at this, I'm going to like focus on that thing that I'm good at, but I'm still going to grow over here. That's when before you know it, you've gotten really, really good in this thing you were already good at, in this area that you felt like was your weakness. And all of a sudden isn't such a weakness anymore. Like you've blossomed and grown as a person through it so much. And I know so many people on here tonight, you guys, and again, this goes back to what I just said. So many people you probably look up to would tell you there was an area that they did not feel confident in, but because they chose to just push through and get better by practicing and grow through it, it is literally not like today, they're not just better in that area, they're a better person because of it, because they chose to face that thing that maybe didn't feel as, natural to them, or they chose to face that thing that made them a little uncomfortable, a little nervous. Today, they're a stronger woman, a stronger leader because of it. And so that will be 100% the same truth for you, but you've got to start. Everyone starts at the start. So you get better by practicing. So, we just kind of went over, number one, making sure no one has to wonder if you're going to show up. No one has to wonder if you're going to deliver. Number two, you get better by practicing. But number three, it starts with, taking whatever your vision is and then intentionally every single day waking up and making it your reality. And some of you are like, okay, well, how do I even begin? Number one, you begin by knowing what you want. So if you have not made your dream board, I know we're talking about dream boards in June, which is typically a conversation that we talk about in January, but I feel like we need to have this conversation again because so much is on the table. And if we're not clear about what we want, we're never gonna achieve as much and accomplish as much as if we would, if we knew what we wanted. And so I wanna challenge you, even if you made a dream board in January, reassess it. What things have you already done? What do you need to add to it? What things were you maybe a little scared to put on there in January, but now you realize, you know what, that's 100% possible for me. It's going on my dream board. I'm gonna look at that every day. Also part of this can also just be your affirmations. Not just having things on your dream board, but writing things out every single day. That's part of taking your vision and turning it into reality. I want you guys to know, the more that I put out in front of me, whether it's on my dream board that's on my wall, or whether it's my morning affirmations, the more things that I'm intentionally, focusing on and putting in front of me and praying over, the more I accomplish and the more I see come to fruition in my life. And it's the same for every single person on here. And if you feel like that's not true for you, I promise you it's just because you haven't done it yet. When you start putting, intentionally speaking out what you want, writing it down, putting it in pictures where you can see it, I promise you that's when things start really, really, really happening for you because you're focusing on it. And whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. And so if you're just convinced that, there's just one problem after another in your life, you're going to keep finding the problems. But if you're convinced that, you know what, I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that, I'm going to do that. And that's what you're looking at and thinking about every single day. Then before you know it, that's going to be what's possible for you. And I love what Pam says. Pam says that, it's not, you don't just want to think about the money. You want to think about what is the money going to do for you. She's like, when people just think about a dollar amount, they often get frustrated, because that's like all they're thinking about, and it feels so out of reach for them. But when they visualize what is that going to do for them, what difference does that mean that you're going to be able to make? Are you going to be able to give back in a greater way? Are you going to be able to do things for people that you maybe previously never had the means to do? Are you going to be able to finally, take your family from a small 1,400 square foot house like we were in and get a, appropriate size house for the large family? You guys, we have 7 people in our family. And when we got started, we were literally in I don't even know if it was exactly 1,400, but it was definitely under 1,600 square feet, probably 1,500. We had an add-on room that made it feel a little bit bigger, but the main part of the house was about 1,400 square feet. And we had, at the time, I just had my 4th baby. So we had 6 of us in there, and my grandpa lived with us. So 7 of us in this tiny little house. And, all my kids shared a room, and we were on top of each other, but, we made it work. And when I started the business, that was one thing I quickly saw was a possibility for us, is I was like, you know what, we could get a bigger house. We could have a house on the beach. We could have a house with a pool. I can have a house that has, room for my kids to run around and play and just, thrive. And I quickly started realizing that's what this business can do for me. It can retire my husband. It can give us more space. It can get us a more reliable vehicle. It can allow us to make a difference, to give back. And today, all those things have become our reality. Today, at this present time in the business, we're able to give back more in a month than we even used to make in a month. We were able to give back last year in 2019 more than my family used to make in a year. I want you guys to really let that sink in. Think about what your annual income is right now. like what it was pre the business. And then now imagine if going into 2021, you look back at 2020 and you realize you were able to give back that amount to whatever cause was near and dear to your heart, to your church, whatever. How amazing would that feel? That's what this business can do for you. But it doesn't happen until you intentionally transform your vision into reality. You know, anyone can have a dream. Well, I love the quote. I'm probably going to say a little bit incorrectly, but it's something like, you know, winners and losers, there's not a lot different between them as far as like what they want. Like losers want nice things. Like they have dreams, they've got goals, they just don't go do them. And a winner never stops. A winner keeps going, and a winner makes it happen because it's so important to them to make it happen. It's not just this like nice idea, like, oh, I would like that. Yeah, that sounds nice. It's like they have to do it. They know that they must do it. And Pam always tells us when we're at Mastermind with her, she says, must is a powerful word, powerful word. I can't talk tonight. And so when you say things like, I must do this, I must make this happen, your brain naturally figures out a way to make it happen. But when you just kind of lackadaisically think about something and you're like, yeah, I mean, that would be nice. You know, I would really like to do that. That's when half the time we don't do it because it wasn't a priority in our mind. Even though we maybe felt like it was a priority, we really never made the shift in our brain for it to be a true priority. And so start looking at the things that you want, the things that you're putting on your dream board, and start speaking about them like as in, I must do this. Like, I must make this happen. I will make this happen. I'm going to do this. This is in the bag. When you start looking at things like that, that's when you find yourself 6 months from now, 12 months from now, looking back and you're like, I don't even know how I got here. I tell you guys, like 2019 was such a blur. I know several of you on here that had a crazy year last year will agree with me. But I look back at 2019 and like so much happened in such a short amount of time, so much changed. We came in from 2018 on this peak and we went into 2019 and the team accomplished just huge, ginormous goals. God showed up in such massive ways where we had no explanation other than we don't know what happened, but we just did what we were supposed to do. And then God swooped in and like magnified our efforts times like 100. And here we are just telling the story about it. And I'm seeing even greater things than what we saw in 2019 happen right now in 2020, which is why I'm literally just so excited because I truly know that everything we're seeing right now is a drop in the bucket to what's coming. And so start getting really, really clear about what you want. If you want your vision to become a reality, you got to be clear. What is it? What do you want? And it can't just be this nice idea. It's got to be like, I have to make this happen. I'm going to make this happen. Don't be afraid to put big goals out there. I promise you, no one who is successful is going to laugh at your big goals. No one who is successful and doing more than you is ever going to criticize you for wanting more. The only people who will ever criticize you, who will ever mock you, laugh at you, etc., are people who are doing less than you. 100% of the time, that's the only way that works. I shared this on the last team Zoom, but like if you think of anyone successful you look up to, it doesn't matter what industry they're in, it doesn't matter who they are, man, woman, doesn't matter. If you think of anyone successful that you look up to, that you find inspiring, they would never mock your goals. They would never criticize you because they're too busy making great things happen for themselves to take the time to criticize you for what you're doing. The only people who criticize you or will laugh at you or anything like that are people who aren't doing anything with their life. And it just comes down to, I can't remember who said it, but there's that quote that says, oh, I know who it is. It's Mark Batterson. He says, some people will be inspired by what God is doing in your life and others will be convicted. And those people will mask their personal conviction by criticizing you because it's easier to criticize you than it is to face what they don't like that's going on in their own life and what's going on in their self. And so the moment you realize that and you accept that as gospel truth, you will never be waylaid when someone criticizes you. I'm not saying you're not human and it might not sting a little bit, but you will never let it derail you because you realize, you know what, like that's sad for them. Like I feel so bad that they're so sad about whatever's going on in their life that they have to attack me. And you'll be able to bless and release, let them move on. You'll be able to genuinely just pray for them and feel bad for them that that's where they're at and it won't stop you. But until you can accept that as truth in your mind, then people's opinions will hold way too much weight in your life. And so I want to encourage every single one of you on here. Only you know what you struggle with. We all have different insecurities. We all have different things that bother us. Some of you maybe are more naturally immune to the opinions of others. Some of you, it maybe is really, really hard for you. I've always been a pretty mentally strong person, but what I will be completely transparent with you guys about is when I started the business, I 100% did care what certain people thought. Not every person, definitely didn't bother me what just any random person on social media thought, but I definitely cared what certain people thought. And that was something that God made really clear to me about the time I went Ruby. And why it happened when I went Ruby, I don't know, but he made it really clear to me around the time I went Ruby that I had to make a choice. Was I going to live for their approval, or was I going to live for an audience of one? Was I going to, worry about what they thought, or was I going to worry about only what he thought and let him bless me? And what I want to share with you guys is that was honestly a hard decision that I had to make, because there were people close to me who were inserting negative opinions into my life. And that was like a strong boundary I had to put in place very intentionally. But what happened after that, and what I learned from that whole experience, was that vengeance is the Lord's. Like, it is he who repays, and he will always, always silence your accusers. He will always make everything right if you trust him and you just keep going. But if you're worried about trying to get everyone to like you and get everyone to approve of you and everyone to see, why you're doing what you do, then you're never going to give him that chance to be that for you. And so I just want to encourage you, if that is something you struggle with, decide right now, all right, I'm inspired. I want to leave that part of me behind, and really accept that. You're never going to be criticized by someone doing more than you, only someone doing less than you. And so from this moment forward, you're not going to let anyone's opinions hold you back from a better life for you or your family. You're going to let God be the one that has the final say. You're going to let him be the one that approves of you, and realize it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And the reason I'm talking about this so much right now and going off on a small tangent about it is because if I can be completely transparent with you, more often than not, if someone quits this business who had everything in them to succeed, that is why. If one of you on here right now who's hyped up and so excited and you're so happy about what this business can do for you, you're on cloud nine. If 3 months from now you're not in the business, I can almost guarantee it's going to be something surrounding that. Someone said something, someone got in your head, and then before you know it, it just, all the pieces started falling apart in your mind, and you convinced yourself you couldn't do it. And so the reason I talk about this from time to time, and I go on quite a bit about it, is I know that if I can help you accept this truth right now, you can overcome anything, because you'll realize you don't need anyone else's approval. You don't need anyone else to say any certain thing to you, or, again, just to approve of you, and just to give you that, positive reinforcement, that feedback, because you know that God's hand is on your life, and you know that he's with you every step of the way, and he'll always put the right people in your life, no matter, who comes in, no matter where you feel there's a deficit, that he's always going to put the right people. Because of this business, and because of those choices I made early on as a Ruby, God brought all the people I needed. He brought people that spoke more life to me in such a short amount of time than I had ever experienced. Like friendships that I had never had, I'd never had people, I never had relationships in my life that felt that genuine, that were that life-giving. But he gave me that after I took that step of obedience, after I took that step of faith. And so I want to encourage you and say that he never, you're never going to lose something that he doesn't give you back tenfold. And so on that note, we're going to move on, but I wanted to share that with you guys, because I just felt like God was really laying that on my heart, just to say that for someone. I don't know who needed to hear that, or if I just went on a complete, rabbit trail for not as big of a reason as I think, but I feel like someone needs to hear that. But anyways, kind of going back to, turning your vision into a reality, having your charts out. This is absolutely so huge. I know that we talk about this from time to time, and most of you probably have your chart out, but I want to just really go over the importance of having your chart in front of you all the time, always having it updated. This is how, whatever big promotion you're going for, you're going to know that you have it in the bag, is by having your chart, understanding your chart. We have Zooms on my YouTube that go over chartings. I think we have a couple lives on the team page where either myself or Jordan or Amanda, I don't even remember. We probably all have done one at this point, but we've gone over charting as well. So there's tons of resources if you need them, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to have your chart printed off, have it updated, and make sure you understand it. So if you're on here and you're new and you're like, I have no clue what you're talking about, just ask your enroller afterwards to point you in the direction of a Ruby chart. The Ruby chart, you can find it in eSuite and Document Library. You can also find it in an album we have in FireTribe, but make sure that your enroller goes over it with you once you have it, and they explain to you exactly what you need to go Ruby. If you're a Ruby and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go diamond this month, I want to get this bonus, make sure you have your diamond chart out. Make sure you know exactly what you need. My personal preference when I'm charting that I'll share with you guys is I make sure that I'm focusing on every single box being at 400 before I'm looking at total volume. I think when we have too much stuff going on the chart, it's easy to get overwhelmed. And so my own personal style, and some of you maybe have found a way that it works better for you. Maybe you do want it all on there at once, but for me, I focus on getting every single box closed at 400, and then I see what the total volume we need for that leg. Because chances are, while you're closing these boxes over here, something else extra came in over here, then the total volume is raised. And so for me, I find that I work a lot better if I keep it simple and if I'm just closing out, each box at a time, and then I'm reassessing. If we're still short from the total number, we'll reassess from that point. And then also just making sure that you're building strong, making sure that every single person on your team that comes in, you're helping them make a game plan for Ruby. If someone just started with you today, you need to go ahead and be talking to them about what it's going to take to go Ruby. If someone just got started with you, last month and went Ruby, you need to go ahead and be having the conversation about here's what it takes to go Diamond. And so make sure that you're leaving no stone unturned as far as that goes. That don't assume that just someone already has it covered, they know what to do. No, you get in the trenches with them and make sure that their chart is correct and that you guys have a game plan. That is part of your job on here as a leader. If you're listening, you have even one person on your team. You want to make sure that you're steering them in the right direction. You want to make sure that they know exactly what it's going to take to promote, and that you're there to help, clear anything up if there's any confusion. And you want to make sure that in turn your chart is correct. If your leader, asks for your chart, make sure you've got it updated and you can send to them. So often, your leader maybe is checking in with you because they want to see if there's anything they can help with. They want to see if there's any advice they can give, any strategy they can help with. And so if you've got your chart updated at all times, you can always send it really quickly, and just always be one step ahead. I feel like there was something else I wanted to share about charts, but I don't remember. Let me catch up in the comments real quick. If anybody has any questions, though, you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, it'll probably come to me in a little bit, so I'll come back. But yeah, this is part of, whatever it is that you're committed to making happen, this is part of making that a reality, is having your chart printed off. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? It's really easy to, it kind of goes back to like wishing for it and then making a deciding, making that decision that you're going to make that happen, that you must do it, is having your chart. Whenever you just are thinking about it lackadaisically and you're like, yeah, I really want to go Diamond this month. I think that'd be amazing. I'm so inspired by everyone else who went. But then when you have your chart printed off and you're like, this is my Diamond chart. This is exactly how many spots I need to fill. This is how many customers I need to sign. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this many hosts to post up a day. I'm going to make this happen. That's when you see it happen, because you know exactly what you need. And again, when you're looking at that chart every day and it's constantly in front of you, you see that vision become a reality because you're looking at Diamond every single day. You're getting a little closer every single day. You're seeing the progress. One thing I like doing, I remember what I was going to say about the chart. One thing that I like doing too is I highlight boxes when they get to 400. And this is just such a good visual, I feel like psychologically it just really helps your brain to see the progress happening. And so I did this when I had paper charts. I just would highlight it with an actual highlighter, but now I have my iPad and I do everything in GoodNotes, and I use the highlighter feature with my Apple Pencil. And so every time someone's at 400, including like the ruby leg, the emerald leg, I highlight them, because eventually towards the end of the month, you have almost everything highlighted. And that is so good for your brain to see the progress that you've made throughout the month and to see like, wow, we're down to only this little bit. So I want to encourage you, if you don't typically do that, try it. I know some of you are really neat freaks and you maybe don't want to mark on your paper more than you have to, but I promise you it's a really, really good way to, keep your brain in a good place. This is how I learned a chart when I first got started, and it was passed down to me all the way from the Duns through the #1 income earners. So I was kind of like, you know what, I want to be like them. So if this came from them, I'm going to do what they're teaching to do. So I encourage you to try it if you haven't tried it yet. And I see everyone talking about GoodNotes in the chat. So yeah, if you're on here and you don't know what that is, it is an app for iPhone and iPad. You ideally want to have an Apple Pencil to use it, but it is incredible. I think it costs like $7 one-time fee. And it is amazing. You can upload your charts directly in it. You can have your potential sheets. So I love doing that to stay organized. Although, just full disclosure, I did pen and paper until I went presidential. So I got an iPad right before I went presidential, and that's when I did everything digitally. So you don't have to have that to be successful. I got all the way up to second highest rank in the company without it. But if you have one on hand, you have an iPad at home, I highly recommend checking it out. So another thing I just want to talk to you guys is just, especially those of you who are newer, really, and, as we really, come into the summer months and are, really, really just laser focused on doing all the good that we can, making as much happen as we can. Ask yourself, what do I want my brand to be? I know we have talked, a lot more concentratedly on different Zooms about, forming your brand and how you post according to your brand and things like that. But if you're on here and maybe you haven't been staying true to your brand, or maybe you're newer and you don't really know what you want that to be, I want to encourage you to really like take tonight to write down some like key things about you, things that you want people to think of when they see you, and then commit to using your platform for good. Commit to using your platform to be a light in the world, and to use your influence that you're building to impact people. For me, my brand is my faith, my family. I'm very passionate about being healthy, but in a simple way. That's something that if you read my posts, you see that theme a lot. Is I always want to empower women to be the healthiest version of themselves, but I'm super big on like very simple things that you can implement in your life to be healthy. I think that so often we self-sabotage because we're trying to be like everyone else and do 20 million things, and then we don't do any of them. And so I'm very big on like sending that message about just having a few key things that you're going to do every single day, and let the compound effect kick in. I love, fashion and style, so sometimes I incorporate that. Motherhood, all things surrounding that. And I think I already said faith, but just kind of going back to that one, I'm very passionate about everything in my post. I want people to be inspired to be a better version of themselves, and to step into like who God has called them to be. To not worry about being like me or being like anyone else, but to step into who, they were created to be. And really, if they don't feel like they know what their purpose is, really intentionally step out and find their purpose, discover what, God has put inside of them. And so that's a constant message that is seen in my posts, even down to, what I shared with you guys about not caring about what people think. I talk about stuff like that because I think that's something that keeps you from walking in faith and keeps you from being who you should be. And so you're always going to see that theme come out in my posts. And that's just one example. And honestly, that everything else kind of falls under that umbrella. Anything I talk about, it's going to still tie into that somehow. And I want you guys to know, like throughout the past 4 years, when I got started, I only had like 200 followers on Instagram, and I think like a little over 1,000 Facebook friends. And so when I got started, I didn't have what anyone would call a large influence on social media. But I knew that I wanted to be someone that people looked up to, and that was a positive influence in their life. I knew that I wanted to be someone that when people saw me on social media, they smiled. I knew that I wanted to be someone that made people, inspired to be a better version of themselves, to be more kind to people in their everyday life. I knew I wanted to be all those things. And so that started, like, as I started growing my network and, adding to my Facebook friends, following more people on Instagram, and slowly but surely, growing in that regard, I wanted to make sure that I was someone people wanted to follow because of the content I was putting out there, because of the message I was putting out there, just because of the light that was radiating from my page. And today, flash forward, I'm maxed out at 5,000 friends on Facebook. I've got over 16,000 followers on Instagram. And I truly believe that's why people have stuck around, is because from the very beginning when I got started, I knew what I wanted them to find when they came to my page. And I added people who I knew would probably find value in what I was doing. And so I want to encourage you, like, even if you feel like you don't have a lot of influence right now, start with what you have and start staying true to you. Start staying true to your brand and commit to using your platform for good. Commit to using your platform to be a light. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in our world right now. There's, people that are very, unsure and living in a lot of uncertainty. There's people that are still, I know some of you guys live in different parts of the country that are not near as back to normal as things are for us, even down in Florida. And so right now, more than ever, you have the opportunity to be a light in a very dark world. You have an opportunity to be someone who spreads kindness everywhere you go. You have an opportunity for when people go to your page, they're like, man, I want to be like her. She's so nice. She's always smiling. She always has encouraging things to say. When I read her posts, I just, feel so much wisdom pouring out. And if you're listening to this right now and you're like, okay, I want to do that, but I still just don't know, like, what is my message I'm passionate about? Just start praying and ask God to give you that clarity. Ask God to show you, like, what is deep inside of you that you have to offer, and start, bringing that out in your content, because people right now, I promise you, are looking for someone who's full of life, who is a light. And so commit to using your platform as you grow, and as you, just take wherever you're at now. I promise you, 6 months from now, you're going to look so different. Your network is going to have grown exponentially. And so start now building a brand that's true to you, and really committing to, get in front of the right people who are going to value what you have to offer, and who are going to just enjoy coming to your page. There's no better feeling, and I know so many leaders on here will agree with this, but there's no better feeling when someone reaches out to you. Maybe they're not even a customer, and they're not a business partner yet, but they follow you and they read all of your posts, and they send you a message and they say, hey, I just want you to know, I love seeing your stuff. You always make me smile. I absolutely love looking forward to seeing your posts. That kind of stuff happens all the time when you stay true to who you are. And so if you're on here and you're like, yeah, I don't even feel like anybody sees my stuff, I just want to encourage you that they absolutely do. You make a difference that you don't even know. You make a difference that you don't even realize. But you've got to, just continue to do what you know to do. Whenever I got started, I was getting literally like a handful of likes. Actually, no, when I first got started, I was getting like 2 likes on my posts. And it was Zach and Claire. Claire's my enroller. And then a couple months in, I was getting a handful of likes, not very much, like 5 or 6. And I remember thinking like multiple times, like I'd let the enemy get in my head and I'm like, does anybody even see my stuff? Like, I don't even know that this is reaching anyone, but something inside of me just kept remembering words that I had heard early on when I first got started. And that was, people are always watching. And so I just committed to, you know what, I'm just going to keep going. People are watching me. I'm going to believe that. I know that's true. I'm just going to keep being consistent, even if I don't feel like this is reaching anyone. And then flash forward, going from ruby to diamond and people, coming out of the woodworks that's, saying things like, I've followed you ever since you got started. I've watched you since you first started posting. It was just such an incredible reminder that people are always watching. And so I want you to know, if you're on here and you're new and you're like, man, I don't even know who I'm inspiring. I don't even know who's out there that wants to see my stuff. People are absolutely watching you, but you have to stay true to you and be consistent. You got to show up every day. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this Zoom. Ownership is the highest level of commitment. You've got to own what you're doing. You've got to own your promotion. And then it goes back to the second part of what we were saying. No one should have to ever wonder if you're going to deliver. No one should ever have to wonder if you're going to show up. And so when you commit to showing up, you commit to owning everything that you're doing, I promise you, people are watching you. And people want to follow someone who knows where they're going. They will be inspired. They will come to you. If you build it, they will come. And so if you're on here and you're new, kind of wrapping that point up, I just want to leave you with that. You have joined at the right time. You're in the right place at the right time. People are watching. You've got to go out there and be a light. Get on the team Zooms every single week. Make sure that you plug into anything that's on the table. I know Cami is doing some incredible corporate trainings right now that are starting this week. Make sure you're on anything that you can. You're learning from everyone that you can. And you're just committing every single day to get a little bit better, to become a little bit better version of yourself. Just every single day growing just a little bit more. Because if you do that and every single day you're like, I'm gonna be who I was yesterday. I'm gonna be a little bit better today than I was yesterday. Before you know it, weeks have gone by, months have gone by, and that little bit better has added up to this massive progress that you've made. And before you know it, you're looking behind, you're like, I don't even know how all this happened, but here I am now, and now I'm even more excited about what's to come now. And that's what I feel like just with our team right now, and I want to kind of like wrap up and leave you guys with this. When I look at everything our team's done the last 4 years, my mind is blown. You guys, when I started the business almost 4 years ago, my 4-year anniversary is this month, I did not see us here. I knew I wasn't ever going to stop. I knew I wasn't ever going to quit. I knew I wanted to go straight to the top and, have an ambassador team and change as many lives as I could. I knew that, but I didn't know what it was going to look like. I had no clue what the journey was going to look like. I had no clue we'd be sitting here in 2020 right now, having this conversation with this, level of growth, with so many blessings being poured out. I mean, I had no way to see all this. But when I look back and I see everything that God has done in this team, and I see just all the progress and all the growth, just everything that's happened, I'm just amazed, because I see that so much of what happened along the way were things that we had no way of predicting. We had no way to know that that was what was coming, but it came. And right now, being at this point and knowing that, and I'm seeing what's happening right now, I know that everything we've seen is a drop in the bucket to what's coming. I see things happening right now, and I can't explain it, but I was talking to someone earlier today, and they said something to me. They said, Brittany, do you ever just feel like something is happening and God is stirring something up and you can't explain why you know that? And I was like, yes, I feel that often, and I really feel it right now. And I said, so it's really cool to hear you say that too. That is what I feel right now. And I know so many of you have come to me and reached out to me and said something very similar. But God is doing big things right now, you guys. There is so much happening. I put a post on my Facebook today. It's one of my favorite verses from Micah. I think it's Micah 3:10, I think. Someone can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But the verse basically just says, test me in this. See if I will not open up the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have enough room to store it all. And that is a verse that towards the end of 2018, God kept impressing upon my heart over and over. And I really felt like he was like saying this loud and clear with flashing lights, like, Brittani, there's about to be so much that's happening in your team. Y'all need to be prepared, be ready. I'm doing so much. And we saw so much happen. Those coming months after I first heard that word, we can't even explain to you to this day how things happened. We just know we were there for it, and he showed up big. And the last few weeks, I've really felt God telling me that again. And it's no surprise when I look back in May and I see everything that happened. I see all the promotions, all the bonuses earned, everything that God did in every single one of you guys' businesses and in our teams, our team as a whole. And I truly, truly believe that these summer months are going to be absolutely months that we remember for years and years to come. There is so much that's happening right now company-wide. God's hand is on our company. There's never been a better time to be a part of It Works Global. And so I just want to encourage you, wake up every day excited. Wake up every day ready to run, ready to grow, ready to become the best version of yourself, ready to put one foot in front of the other and make forward motion progress, because that's all that you can do each and every day. Make sure that you're talking to anyone that is laid on your heart. If there's someone that you're thinking of and you're like, man, I don't know why I can't stop thinking about them, but I feel like I should reach out to them. Don't ignore that nudge. Reach out to them. There's a reason that you can't stop thinking about them. Right now, more than ever, if there's someone you need to talk to, you want to talk to them. You don't want to be selfish with what you have, because there is so much happening. There's never been a better time for someone to get started with you. So I just want to leave you guys with that I love you guys so, so much. And I'm so proud of every single one of you. If you're new, welcome. We are so happy to have you on our team. We cannot wait to run with you and just watch these summer months be transformational for you. I want to remind you guys, what you do right now, what you do over the summer sets the pace for what you're going to sprint into the holidays, for where you're going to be come Thanksgiving, come Christmas time, come going into the new year. Like, can you guys believe it's June? It's already halfway through 2020. I literally can't even believe it. Jordan said that on the live in Fire Tribe today, and I thought the same thing when she said it. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how 2020 is already halfway over. It's crazy. Before you know it, we're going to be having a Zoom and it's going to be December, and we're going to be saying, I don't know how 2020 is actually about to be over. This is crazy. So what you do right now, you guys, sets the pace for where you end 2020 and how you walk into 2021. Don't leave your blessing on the table. There is so much right now that is on the table for every single one of us to grab. Go after it. If you need help, just know this team is like one big family. We have your back in everything you could possibly need, and we're here to support you in any way that you need. Make sure that you're showing up every day, committing to be the best version of yourself. Make sure you're listening to audiobooks, getting on these Zooms, doing everything you can do to learn and grow, and staying close to the fire, staying plugged in, because these next couple months, you guys, are going to be absolutely amazing. You're going to want your running shoes on, laced up. These bonuses that are on the line right now are absolutely huge. I've never seen Mark carry them on for this long my entire time in the business. This is unheard of. So let's make it count. Let's come together. Let's make June even better than May. Let's give God a chance to show up even bigger this month in our team. Let's make sure everyone looking at our team looks and says, I don't know what's going on over there, but I want to be a part of it, because clearly there's something really amazing going on, and I need that in my life. Make sure you're being a light. Make sure you're being positive. Make sure you're showing people, you know what? There's a better way to live, and I found it, and I'm over here having the time of my life with one big family, making things happen, going after my dreams. People want to follow someone who knows where they're going. And so you know where you're going, and you're being loud and bold about that every single day. People will follow you, I promise you. So I love you guys. I'm going to hop off now, or I'll just keep rambling. But I just want you guys to know I'm so proud of you guys. I cannot wait to see what happens this month. And if there's anything at all that you guys need, you guys know we're always here for you. Next team huddle will be announced as it gets closer to time. So if you're new, just know that the info is always on the cover photo on our team page, always has the ID and everything, and we always do an announcement each Monday, just sharing like what the topic's going to be about and everything. So we love you guys, and we will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.